Often, cultivators would enter to explore its mysteries. Especially in the recent decades, with the arrival of some foreign cultivators on Vermilion Bird Star, many began to delve deep into this pit. However, in the end, they gained nothing. No one could enter the deepest layer. Wang Lin's figure, along with that madman, appeared outside the deep pit in an instant. He glanced at the pit, and just as he was about to step in, the madman refused, shouting at Wang Lin. "I'm not going, not going. I won't go? I'll wait for you here, haha. You go ahead, just find me when you come out." The madman's eyes turned, shaking his head as he retreated. Wang Lin glanced at the madman. His gaze was like lightning, making the madman blink, and his shouting softened significantly, but he still shook his head forcefully. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze, understanding the madman's intentions. He simply wanted to have some fun on Vermilion Bird Star. With an unstable temperament, Wang Lin didn't want to make things difficult. He slightly nodded, turned, and no longer paid attention to the madman. Instead, he took a step forward and entered the pit, disappearing from view. Seeing Wang Lin leave, the madman's face showed excitement, and he mumbled to himself as he ran off into the distance. Those three little ladies didn't tell me their names before, but their expressions were quite strange. Haha, this time I'll go find them, and they'll definitely tell me their names. The madman walked farther, his voice fading into the sky. Wang Lin had visited the Rune clan's land several times. Despite the years, it was still very familiar to him. He remembered every layer's entrance. At this moment, he flickered within the Rune clan, flashing through each layer. Without any pause, he would instantly disappear from one entrance and reappear at the next, swiftly advancing. Soon, he reached the 16th layer. In the 16th layer, 13 coffins inscribed with runes were arranged in a circle. In the center was a black water pond, emitting a chilling aura that spread throughout the surroundings. The coffins, just like when Wang Lin had seen them before, exuded a sinister aura, and inside lay the skeletal remains of the Rune clan's ancestors. The entrance to the 17th layer was hidden within the black pond. Wang Lin stared at the pond. Inside, there was a seal. Only someone who had reached the Yang fulfillment stage could break the seal. Back in the day, Wang Lin could not enter, relying on the power of the big-headed one to reach the 17th layer. Now, revisiting, Wang Lin calmly stepped forward. As he neared the pond, the seal could not withstand the invisible pressure emanating from Wang Lin. With a loud crash, it collapsed, revealing a huge vortex. The vortex sucked in the black pond water, slowly revealing the entrance to the next layer. Wang Lin stepped forward, disappearing without a trace. When he appeared, Wang Lin found himself in the 17th layer of the Rune clan. In the past, this place had been filled with countless iron chains, and numerous immortal corpses had been sealed, guarding this place after their souls and spirits were sealed. The scenes from that time were still fresh in Wang Lin's memory. He had fought a fierce battle here, causing the 17th layer to collapse. Now, the area was in ruins, with only the giant vortex at the center still present. This vortex was the entrance to the 18th layer, which had appeared after the 17th layer's destruction. Looking at the entrance, Wang Lin sighed. He had struggled to reach this point back then, but now, it was much simpler. He still remembered how, after opening the 18th layer, the avatar of the old vermilion bird, Huang Long, had appeared and initially stopped him from entering. Later, Huang Long changed his mind and allowed Wang Lin to enter the 18th layer for insight, under his protection. Shaking his head slightly, Wang Lin calmly walked toward the vortex in the ground. As soon as he approached, a deafening howling sound erupted in his ears. But it didn't disturb his focus in the slightest. The howling slowly faded, and Wang Lin appeared at the deepest point he had reached before, in the Rune clan's 18th layer. This was a stone chamber of 100 zhang in size. The surroundings were pitch black, with only a faint flame in the center, emitting a small amount of light. It blended with the surrounding darkness, making the place appear dim. Especially under the flickering of the flame, countless ghostly figures seemed to drift around, and eerie howls reverberated in the soul. Some of the ghosts and spirits materialized like smoke, swirling around, attempting to pounce on the flame. But as soon as they approached, they were immediately repelled by the flame's light. It was here that, with the help of Huang Long, Wang Lin absorbed a trace of primal power from the flame. That trace of power nearly caused him to burst. He had gazed at the flame with deep trepidation at that time. After a moment of silence, Wang Lin walked up to the flame. As he approached, the countless ghosts in the dim room immediately retreated. Their wailing cries echoed through the chamber. It seemed Wang Lin's presence terrified these spirits to the extreme, and they trembled as they backed away, not daring to advance. Looking at the flame, the primordial force within it, which once seemed so immense, now appeared to be incredibly insignificant. It was also terribly chaotic, as if it had been forcibly fused together by someone. It no longer held any attraction for him, only the last layer. What is hidden inside it? Yun Kazi once said that the 19th layer contained the residual soul of the elder of the Rune clan. Wang Lin's gaze flickered. But the elder of the Rune clan was the daughter of the Palm sovereign, and this woman was sealed in the land of demonic spirits by Qing Lin. It's impossible for her residual soul to be here. Wang Lin raised his right hand and directly grasped the flame. The primordial force contained in the flame erupted instantly, as if trying to resist. However, its power was so insignificant compared to Wang Lin now. With a forceful squeeze of his right hand, a loud explosion rang out, and the flame instantly collapsed, scattering as sparks that spread in all directions. As they spread, the hidden ghosts in the darkness vanished one by one. A circular door slowly appeared where the flame had collapsed. This door emanated an ancient and weathered aura, with numerous runes carved into it, tightly sealed. The sheer number of these runes was overwhelming, clearly not imprinted all at once, but over countless years, with rune after rune being added. Eventually, this resulted in their overwhelming quantity. Despite their disarray, these runes had been strangely fused together, forming a powerful sealing force. This seal not only prevented outsiders from entering, but also sealed whatever lay inside. Whether these seals were meant to keep things inside or outside, no one knew. Wang Lin stared at the runes, his expression becoming more and more solemn. He now understood why the old vermilion bird clone had been unable to enter this 19th layer all those years ago. Because the sealing force of these runes had reached its peak, comparable to the full power of the fifth decay of heaven and man. Breaking this seal would be extremely difficult, even for someone at the fifth decay, unless they were a third-step great power. To think that such a seal exists on the vermilion bird star, Wang Lin stared at the runes for a long while. He then raised his right hand, golden light flashing from his hand, and with a swipe across the door, a cracking sound rang out as the countless runes began to shatter layer by layer. In an instant, almost all of the seals on the door broke apart, leaving only one remaining. This scene could only be accomplished by someone like Wang Lin at present. In the past, such a seal would have been enough to block the way of 10,000 cultivators. The last remaining rune on the door was extremely simple. It consisted of a single stroke, forming a circle. It seemed ordinary, yet to Wang Lin, this last rune faintly contained a strange power. This power, too, was a seal, but it was a seal on breath. It sealed off any aura from within the door, preventing anything inside from emanating the slightest trace of energy. Even under Wang Lin's gaze, he faintly saw a flash of golden light within that circle. A hidden and deeply buried immortal energy was leaking out. This rune, it could never belong to the Rune clan. Wang Lin stared at the last rune, taking a deep breath, his pupils contracting. Although the rune emitted no aura, Wang Lin could clearly sense a pressure emanating from within it through his divine sense. This is the pressure of an immortal bloodline. The moment he felt this pressure, Wang Lin stepped back, his eyes flashing. He raised his right hand, golden light spreading from his palm, and his immortal power surged, turning into a single finger that pressed directly onto the last rune. The circular rune flashed, and the golden light within it flickered. In that instant, a familiar aura faintly enveloped him. Just as his finger was about to land, Wang Lin's expression drastically changed. His right hand abruptly stopped, his eyes filled with disbelief as he stared intensely at the circle. There's actually Dao Ancient power inside. The familiar aura was unmistakably Dao Ancient, the aura of Dao Guyema. The moment Wang Lin recognized this aura, his body trembled, and an earth-shattering hypothesis suddenly emerged in his mind. Dao Guyema's left eye, shot down by Li Guang's arrow and lost in the starry sky. Could it be that what the Rune clan sealed in this 19th layer is the Dao ancient left eye? Wang Lin's heart raced uncontrollably. It's probably right. This world not only contains the power of immortal bloodline, but also the aura of Dao ancient. There's nothing else that could have this combination except for the left eye that was taken by the arrow. The left eye originally had no immortal bloodline power, but after being wounded by that arrow, Li Guang's arrow, which carried the aura of immortal bloodline, caused the two forces to merge. This fusion, just like in my body, carries repulsive force. I don't know how the Rune clan managed to turn this repulsive force into this seal, preventing the entire world from knowing that the Dao ancient left eye is actually here. The Rune seal merges the power of immortals with the ancient Dao aura, filled with repulsive force. However, due to the circular rune, this repulsive force did not cause the door to collapse, but was instead utilized, becoming part of the seal. The ingenuity and strangeness of this rune made Wang Lin shudder. This rune is like a door opening for him, another path that allows the repulsive force within his body to dissipate. This kind of rune restriction, after merging immortal power and ancient Dao aura, can only be opened by so few in this world, unless one is in the current situation, like me. Wang Lin's eyes shimmered with insight. After a long pause, he sighed softly, a complex and absurd feeling rising in his heart. He felt that, in some unknown way, there was a cycle of reincarnation, interlocking step by step. He had left Vermilion Bird Star all those years ago, and if he hadn't gone to the land of demonic spirits, he would never have reached the Luotian star domain through its cracks. Without going to Luotian star domain, he would never have learned of the netherworld beast or entered its body. If he hadn't known of the netherworld beast, he would never have thought of refining it as his lifebound beast. Without all of this, he wouldn't have been swallowed by the netherworld beast to heal during the first battle of the Cloud Sea. He wouldn't have met that madman and wouldn't have obtained the immortal bloodline. Similarly, the repulsive force would not have existed. Now, he was back at Vermilion Bird Star, at the place where he first stepped forward, back at the origin. But in this origin, he realized that if even one link in the chain went wrong, he would never have been able to open the 19th layer of this Rune clan seal. In this world, only he alone could open this seal. This realization filled Wang Lin with both awe and confusion. After a long time, Wang Lin gently shook his head, no longer thinking about this absurd matter. His eyes flashed, and his right hand slowly rose. He didn't use his bloodline immortal power or activate the ancient Dao power, but instead, he slowly spread the repulsive force of both immortals and ancient Dao within him, guiding it to his right index finger. In an instant, as Wang Lin felt the excruciating pain, it was as if a soft sword twisted and stabbed through his body, piercing into his right arm, shredding the flesh and veins, even causing his bones to tremble under the pressure, directing the repulsive force to finally converge at his fingertip. Wang Lin's index finger trembled, beads of sweat pouring from his forehead. After a brief gasp, he, with great determination, forced his index finger to stop trembling, remaining stable without a flicker. Slowly, Wang Lin's right index finger moved toward the circular mark on the door and gently touched the rune. The moment his finger made contact, the repulsive force within his body exploded with a roar, as if it had sensed its companion, roaring within Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's face went pale, but his right index finger remained still, unwavering. His gaze was entirely focused on the tip of his right index finger, disregarding the repulsive force inside him. He slowly moved his finger, drawing the rune over the circular symbol. He had to completely trace it to open the rune. With each movement, the repulsive force within him surged violently. He could clearly feel the repulsive force pouring into his body through his finger, causing excruciating pain, so much so that he was drenched in sweat in just a few breaths. Blood even spilled from the corner of his mouth, his internal organs twisting as if they were about to collapse. The tearing between his immortal body and flesh was like trying to rip a soul out of a body. The agony was beyond words unless one experienced it firsthand. As time passed, half a stick of incense had passed. The entire stone chamber echoed with Wang Lin's heavy breathing. His index finger had already traced most of the rune, with only a small section left. His eyes were bloodshot, and his entire right arm was swollen with veins, bulging high as if wrapped in vines. It was a horrifying sight. Not only his right arm, but his face and body were also covered with bulging veins, writhing and bursting with the repulsive force within, attempting to tear his body apart. Wang Lin gritted his teeth, staring at his finger, never pausing, moving slowly. With each trace, the repulsive force within him grew more violent. By the end, it was almost earth-shattering, with loud bangs emanating from his body, the sound overpowering his breathing like thunder, causing a rapid reverberation in the stone chamber. Just a little more. Wang Lin's right hand was almost numb. The difficulty of absorbing the repulsive force from the circular rune was as if he had fought a fierce battle with a third-step great power. It was even harder than that. This rune can only be opened this way. If one only possesses immortal power, it cannot be unlocked. If one only has the ancient Tao aura, it also cannot be opened. If one lacks both, even if Vermilion Birdstar is destroyed and refined, this rune will not be harmed in the slightest. Time passed, and the final segment took Wang Lin almost an entire incense stick's worth of time. When his right index finger perfectly traced a circle and returned to the origin, a tremendous force exploded from the rune, rushing toward Wang Lin's right hand. With a deafening boom, Wang Lin's body was sent tumbling backward, glowing with bursts of light. His light and shadow shield immediately activated, but within moments, it shattered to pieces. Spitting out a mouthful of blood, Wang Lin's ancient god star mark on his forehead flickered as the celestial emperor furnace materialized around his body. With a thunderous crash, the celestial emperor furnace immediately twisted upon appearing, offering a brief resistance before bouncing back, turning into a ghostly light that returned to the star mark on Wang Lin's forehead. The powerful force released from the rune was significantly weakened by the collision of the light and shadow shield and the celestial emperor furnace, but it still caused blood to spill from Wang Lin's mouth as his body was knocked back dozens of yards. He crashed into the stone wall of the chamber with a deafening thud, the walls of the chamber shaking violently, cracks spreading outward from where his body hit the wall. The circular rune on the stone door erupted with a brilliant light, enveloping the entire chamber. Under this intense light, a crack appeared in the middle of the rune, gradually causing the stone door to boom open. As the stone door opened, an ancient aura swept out from behind it, filling the surroundings. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Wang Lin looked up sharply and saw a pitch-black void behind the stone door, resembling the entrance to another world. That was the greatest secret of the Rune clan, the 19th layer. The moment the stone door opened and the ancient aura seeped out, a Tao ancient aura mingled within it, which Wang Lin immediately sensed. Without hesitation, he raised both hands and slammed them against the stone wall behind him. With a resounding roar, propelled by the force of the impact, Wang Lin's body shot forward like a lightning bolt, racing straight toward the open stone door. In an instant, he crossed the threshold into the Rune clan's 19th layer, a place sealed since ancient times, never to have been entered by anyone before. As he entered, the stone door slowly began to close with a boom, shutting behind him. Wang Lin didn't look back. What lay ahead stunned his mind and soul. Where he stood was not yet the true 19th layer, but rather a peculiar passageway. At the end of this passage, the 19th layer awaited. The passage was made up of progressively larger circular rings, spaced apart from each other and stretching forward. If that were all, it wouldn't have been enough to shake Wang Lin, but these rings were inscribed with the same circular runes as the stone door. These runes were composed of a fusion of immortal power and Tao ancient aura. It was because of these rings that the runes outside the stone door had appeared. How did this place come to be? Wang Lin gazed ahead, his mind shaken. Even though he had traveled to countless strange lands, this sight still overwhelmed him. The passage, made up of these circular rings, grew wider the further he went. The repulsive force within them became more intense, and a sharp aura fused with it, giving Wang Lin the unsettling feeling of being locked in by countless swords as he advanced. Surrounding him, outside the rings, was complete darkness, so thick that even his divine sense couldn't penetrate. But with his own eyes, Wang Lin noticed his pupils narrowing, faintly sensing something. Outside this ringed passage, there's soil? Wang Lin's thoughts were in a bit of turmoil. He had been deep underground on Vermilion Bird Star, so seeing soil was natural, but after stepping through the stone door, he felt like he had entered another world. Seeing soil again was an indescribable feeling. After a moment of silence, Wang Lin's eyes flickered. Since he was already here, he would see what awaited him. With a swift motion, he surged forward, speeding through the circular passage toward its end. As he continued, the rings before him grew larger, almost hundreds of yards in diameter. The Tao ancient aura and immortal power emanating from them grew even stronger, and the sharpness of the aura intensified, shaking the very heavens and sending endless cold waves through the air. Yet, there was no sign of any frost. It was unclear how much time had passed, but eventually, Wang Lin reached the final ring. He had arrived at the end of the passage. The final ring was thousands of yards across, like the sky itself. Standing in this place, Wang Lin turned to look behind him. He could no longer see the stone door or the path leading to it. All he could see were the rings, growing smaller and smaller with each layer. In silence, Wang Lin turned and took a step toward the final circular ring. With a resounding boom, he walked directly into the center of the ring. What he saw? The sky was calm, with no clouds or wind, as if a blue painting had been hung in the air. But to the left of this sky, there was a massive hole. This hole was thousands of zhang wide, shocking to the eyes. It looked like a piece of paper had been pierced, and fragments hung down around the edges. Through the hole, he saw an enormous arrow, thousands of zhang thick, with a length of several tens of thousands of zhang sticking out from the hole. The arrow had pierced through the sky, but hadn't fallen entirely. It was lodged halfway. Beneath this sky was a vast land, devoid of mountains, an endless plain, as if some great force had once destroyed everything here, leaving only the lingering death aura that swirled over the land. Wang Lin stood in the middle of this barren land, facing the arrow that had pierced through the sky. Wang Lin froze in place as a cold aura emanated from the arrow in the sky, crashing into his forehead, making his body violently shudder. At that instant, his left eye burned with intense pain, and the memories from Dao Gu's legacy, those shattered memories, exploded in his mind. The memories swirled like a storm, and in the midst of that overwhelming legacy, blood began to drip from Wang Lin's left eye, trickling down his cheek onto his clothes. The Taoist memory, Li Guang, shot down my left eye, and that left eye contained all my longing and memories of my homeland. This voice echoed in Wang Lin's mind, growing louder and louder, until it turned into a roar. "Give me back my left eye." Wang Lin trembled, his eyes filled with struggle and confusion. The scenes in those memories were indelible. Li Guang, holding a bow with his left hand and drawing the string with his right, releasing an arrow amid a deafening hum. The arrow shattered the sky and, like Dao Gu's immortal divine abilities, struck his left eye, taking it with him, vanishing into the vast sea of stars. After a long time, Wang Lin spat out a mouthful of blood. His body swayed as he stepped back several paces, then immediately sat down cross-legged on the ground. He began to regulate his breath. Time slowly passed, and he didn't know how long it had been until he exhaled a long breath and opened his eyes. He looked up at the arrow in the sky with a complicated expression. There is no Dao Gu left eye here, only this arrow. Wang Lin gazed at the arrow, reluctantly admitting that his previous guess had only been half right. In this world, aside from the Dao Gu left eye, which contained Dao Gu's aura and the immortal power from the bow that shot it down, there was one more thing that could possess the repulsive force: the arrow itself. Wang Lin stared at the dried black bloodstains on the tip of the arrow. The Dao Gu aura emanated from these stains. This blood came from the Dao Gu left eye. He also saw that the tip of the arrow was not sharp like a typical point. Instead, it had a circular ring, as if it were a symbol or a rune. Precious things should be hidden where no one can find them, especially treasures that one cannot control. They must be hidden with great caution. Once discovered, they may cause a catastrophe that destroys entire clans. The Rune clan hid it well. Wang Lin looked at the arrow in the sky, now understanding much more. Faintly, Images began to surface in his mind, connecting with his memories, forming a complete picture. In that scene, in the ancient god graveyard, Daogu Yemal waved his hand, transforming into the colossal Daogu body. As he wiped out countless enemies, Li Guang's arrow came whistling, shooting down his left eye. With the left eye, it shot out of the graveyard, rippling through the starry sky, heading towards infinity. The arrow was huge, immense. Its power was so great that it could pierce the Daogu left eye, let alone the starry sky. No object in the sky could stop it. At that time, clearly, there was no sealed realm grand array, and the arrow tore through several vast cultivation stars, disintegrating them before continuing to dissipate into the distance. However, during its traversal, perhaps outside the realm, or perhaps within, the Daogu left eye fell off, lost somewhere in the starry sea. When it entered the inner realm, its remaining power was likely weak. After piercing the sky, it entered a starry rift, which someone had set up in an unknown time. This rift was the starry void rift realm Wang Lin saw now. Perhaps once, this place was home to numerous fierce beasts and vegetation, and perhaps cultivators once existed here, or the area was full of vitality. But on that day, at that moment, an arrow came rushing through the air, tearing the sky open, creating a massive hole in it. As the arrow pierced through, its residual force dissipated, and after most of the arrow body had passed through, it got stuck within the hole in the sky. In the instant the immense arrow entered this world, the remaining killing intent on it was unleashed. As this power erupted, it merged with the blood of the left eye of the ancient Tao on the arrowhead. This fusion of immortal power and primordial Tao aura formed an immense repulsive force. This repulsive force did not collapse. Instead, at the moment of its convergence on the arrowhead, it was absorbed by the circular rune on the tip, transforming into a series of circular rings that cascaded down the arrow shaft, heading towards the earth below. At first, these concentric rings were as large as the arrow itself, spreading several thousand zhang downwards, but they gradually shrank. By the time they hit the ground, they had diminished to about 1,000 zhang. The rings pierced through the earth, forming a passage made of increasingly smaller concentric rings. The final ring at the deepest point was the size of a fist, just as Wang Lin had seen on that stone gate. As these rings expanded, they became a storm sweeping across the land. Under the force of this storm, the mountains collapsed into dust, rivers vaporized, and the dry riverbeds shattered. The oceans here were sucked into the sky, completely dissipating. The once basin-like seabed seemed to have been wiped away by an enormous hand, leaving it flat in the storm's wake. Countless fierce beasts perished in the cataclysm, their bodies dissipating instantly, perhaps even unable to emit a final cry of life. As for the vegetation, it was reduced to ash, swept away with the storm's fury. And the cultivators who might have once lived here, whether an individual, a sect, or many, all vanished under the storm, one by one. The storm tore through the heavens and earth, destroying everything and leaving behind a flat, lifeless landscape, as Wang Lin had seen earlier, where only the faintest traces of death lingered. This land was hidden within the starry sky, perhaps because the immortal power contained within the arrow made it impossible for anyone to locate. No one could find it until the sealed realm grand array appeared, and the bloody battles between the inner and outer realms took place. Until one day, years later, someone from beyond the realm vaguely calculated the general position of this arrow. Thus, the Rune clan entered. Perhaps the daughter of the Palm Sovereign truly sought to calculate Qing Lin's position, but perhaps her true goal was to find this arrow. After many twists and turns, the Rune clan found the place where the arrow lay hidden, unnoticed by anyone. However, they discovered they could not dissipate the repulsive force nor control it. They sealed the area, possibly with help from the Sealing clan, and eventually left behind a door, the very door Wang Lin had entered. The positioning of that door was incredibly clever, using the circular rings from the arrow and the final fist-sized circle to merge, forming the first seal on the door. They waited, hoping the Palm Sovereign would come and retrieve the arrow. However, during this long wait, a dramatic change occurred within the Rune clan. The daughter of the Palm Sovereign was sealed within the land of demonic spirits, and the Rune clan was massacred by the four great immortal realms, falling apart. Some of the clan members became slaves to immortals, joining the chosen immortal clan. Some members left, arriving at the Vermilion Bird Star, where they remained, and the door was buried there, eventually fading into legend. Over time, the truth was lost, replaced by a tale about the Rune clan's 19th layer, where the ancestral remnant soul was sealed. Perhaps the Palm Sovereign had come, risking everything to enter the inner realm. But his goal was not only to kill the sealing venerable, but more importantly, to take away the arrow that the Rune clan had discovered. Yet the power of the roar that emanated from the inner realm shattered the Palm Sovereign's resolve, terrifying him to the point that he was gravely wounded and expelled from the realm. The arrow was left there permanently, sealed by the Rune clan for eternity. Over time, even Yun Kazi did not know the truth until Wang Lin's arrival. With a long sigh, Wang Lin wondered whether his guess was correct. Everything he knew seemed to align, and perhaps this was the truth. In silence, Wang Lin took a step forward, moving toward the arrow that pierced through the sky, its body exposed for most of its length. Standing next to it, Wang Lin seemed insignificant, like a person next to a mountain. He took a deep breath, leaped into the air, and cross-legged himself on the massive arrow. Raising his right hand, he pressed it into the dry, withered blood at the tip of the arrow. His eyes slowly closed, and the ancient god star mark on his forehead spun rapidly as he began absorbing it. He was absorbing the blood of the left eye of the ancient Tao. Inside the blood, there was a deeply hidden demonic aura, and this aura was of great use to Wang Lin. While absorbing, Wang Lin waved his left hand, and immediately a storage rift appeared. The ancient demon statue stood beside him, which he then pressed down with his left hand. Refining the power of the ancient demon from the blood, it followed the path of Wang Lin's right hand, turning inside his body, and shot straight toward the ancient demon statue he was pressing with his left hand. The statue emitted a strange red glow, as though it had awakened, continuously absorbing the energy. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, until the 10th day. Perhaps time flowed differently here than in the outside world, but to Wang Lin, it felt as if a full 10 days had passed. The blood of the ancient Tao in front of him slowly withered even further, but the ancient demon statue beside him had undergone a dramatic transformation over these 10 days. Inside its left eye, demonic stars gradually appeared. 1, 2, until 5 demonic stars appeared, and the flickering red glow around the statue illuminated the entire world. On the 11th day, the withered blood at the tip of the arrow from the left eye of the ancient Tao suddenly burst apart with a bang, turning into dark red fragments that detached from the arrow and spread out in front of Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and without hesitation, he swung his right sleeve, immediately sweeping up all the dark red blood fragments and collecting them into his palm, causing his hand to appear like a dark brown blood hand. He quickly turned and looked at the ancient demon statue, raising his right hand to slap it fiercely on the top of the statue's head. With a loud bang, as his palm struck, all the dark brown dried blood fragments in his hand were absorbed into the statue. The statue's demonic aura surged, howling to the heavens. In that instant, the 5 demonic stars in the statue's left eye flickered rapidly, and a faint 6th demonic star appeared, forming a swirling vortex that gathered, quickly condensing toward the 6th star. The blood of the left eye of the ancient Tao is scarce, and much of it has dissipated over time, but I still have that other ancient demon. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. His left hand made a gesture, tearing open a storage rift, from which he directly pulled out the ancient demon he had captured from the blood god's son. This ancient demon had been sealed in sleep. After Wang Lin tore open its seal, at the moment it woke up, Wang Lin raised his right hand and slammed it fiercely onto the demon. With a loud crash, the demonic star in the ancient demon's left eye exploded, transforming into a surge of demonic power, which Wang Lin slapped out with his palm, sending it straight toward the ancient demon statue. Merged with this demonic energy, the ancient demon statue turned a deep red, as if it were about to bleed. The 6th demonic star in its left eye directly condensed, and a 7th star's vortex began to rapidly form. With the last bit of strength from the blood of the left eye of the ancient Tao and nearly all of the demonic power from the blood god Sun's ancient demon, the seventh demonic star in the statue's left eye was successfully formed. As promised, Wang Lin didn't extinguish the blood god Sun's demonic life force. Instead, he left its soul intact, sealed it, and stored it in the rift to be released later. Since I can't find the left eye of the ancient Tao, I'll just grow one myself. Wang Lin looked at the ancient demon statue, a feeling of blood being thicker than water rising in him. He waved his sleeve and stored the red, glowing statue into the storage rift. After completing all this, Wang Lin looked down at the enormous arrow beneath him, his eyes shining with excitement. This arrow will be my treasure from now on. With that, Li Guangbao, I wonder how powerful this arrow's might will be. Wang Lin slowly placed his right hand on the shaft of the arrow beneath him. He endured the repulsive force in his body and began circulating his bloodline immortal power. As the immortal power moved, all the muscles in Wang Lin's body suddenly trembled, his body glowing with golden light. In that instant, he seemed almost transparent, and within his body, a bow slowly emerged. This bow, formed from Wang Lin's tendons, emitted a golden glow. At this moment, Wang Lin was the bow. As soon as the bow manifested, the massive arrow beneath him trembled, as if sensing the bow's presence. A powerful arrow aura erupted from the arrow, heading straight toward Wang Lin's body. In that instant, Wang Lin felt an ancient soul, the soul of the arrow, as if it had awakened from slumber. It rushed into Wang Lin's body, where it made contact with the bow. Smaller, Wang Lin's voice was cold as he spoke. The massive arrow trembled and suddenly shrank by one circle. As it shrank, the arrow slid downwards with a loud crash, falling thousands of zhang before coming to a stop. Its rear part once again caught outside the sky's rift. Shrink more. Wang Lin's voice was icy. With a tremor, the arrow shrank again, and with a thunderous noise, it completely fell from the sky's rift, the tip heading straight for the ground. A deafening crash echoed as the arrow struck the ground, its tip plunging deeply into the earth. The shaft of the arrow buzzed and trembled, and as it fell, Wang Lin swiftly stepped back, his feet landing on the 9 feathers at the arrow's tail. The 9 feathers were soft and pliable, causing Wang Lin's body to rise and fall with each tremor of the arrow shaft. After 2 more shrinking circles, the arrow still measured several thousand zhang in length and several dozen zhang in width. From a distance, it resembled a massive pillar, half embedded in the ground at an angle. Standing on the feathers, Wang Lin gazed up at the enormous hole in the sky. Beyond it was a pitch-black void, its destination unknown. As he watched, the edges of the hole slowly began to writhe, the edges healing bit by bit. This place is truly strange, Wang Lin muttered under his breath, lowering his head and making a hand gesture to point at the arrow. Small, small, small. The enormous arrow trembled again, shrinking rapidly with visible speed, until a flash of light erupted from it. By the time Wang Lin landed, the arrow had returned to its normal size, and with a swift grab, it whistled toward him and landed firmly in his hand. Holding the arrow, Wang Lin's eyes flickered as he noticed 4 runes etched along the shaft. These runes were long and stretched across the entire length of the arrow, glowing with a faint, ethereal light. These 4 runes are soul-related. They must be enhancements that increase the power of this arrow. Back then, Li Guang shot down the left eye of the ancient Tao with just 1 arrow. I wonder what kind of soul enhancement was used then. Wang Lin mused briefly, then tapped his forehead with his left hand. In an instant, the ancient god star mark appeared on his forehead, and the celestial emperor furnace materialized. As soon as the enormous celestial emperor furnace appeared, it began to slowly rotate. Wang Lin observed intently and could clearly see 2 souls trapped inside the furnace. The souls of the Southern Envoy Sage and the Celestial Omen Master. Wang Lin had sealed these 2 souls within the Celestial Emperor Furnace. I'll use their souls to enhance this arrow. Wang Lin's expression grew cold. With a gesture of his left hand, he pointed at the Celestial Emperor Furnace. The furnace trembled, and its lid flew open. The souls of the Southern Envoy Sage and Celestial Omen Master flew out, but before they could escape, Wang Lin reached out with his left hand and caught them in midair. Despite their anguished wails, he pressed them directly onto the arrow in his right hand. The runes on the arrow blazed with intense ethereal light, and the screams of the southern envoy sage and the celestial omen master abruptly stopped. The two souls merged with two of the runes, and in an instant, a terrifying aura erupted from the arrow. The power of this aura was so immense that even Wang Lin couldn't help but feel awe. There are still two more runes, as for the soul of the seal. Wang Lin murmured, raising his left hand to grasp at the void. A storage crack appeared, from which flew a massive pavilion. This pavilion was the Netherworld Mansion, the one Wang Lin had found in the ancient god graveyard, where Dao Guyema had been sealed. The pavilion had several windows, and Wang Lin recalled seeing 3 powerful divine souls sealed inside. He had been warned never to open it unless absolutely necessary. Now, Wang Lin stared at the Netherworld Mansion, observing the 3 divine souls inside, remaining silent for a long time. Finally, he decided not to release them and instead stored the mansion away. These 3 divine souls are far too powerful. They were enemies sealed by Dao Gu in his homeland, and if I released them with my current strength, I'd be consumed by them. Lost in thought, Wang Lin's gaze shifted back to the tip of the arrow, to the circular ring. Staring at it, he remained there for several hours. This ring was the focal point of the repulsive force created by the fusion of the Dao ancient power and immortal might within the arrow. However, after a long period of observation, Wang Lin could not decipher the structure or strange properties of the ring. With a deep sigh, he gave up and raised his right hand. The arrow erupted into golden light and dissipated into 7 golden beams, which swiftly entered his body through his 7 apertures and vanished without a trace. With the arrow safely stored, Wang Lin glanced around at the surroundings. Stepping forward, his body melted into the earth, and following the remaining rings, he quickly reached the stone door at the end. His speed was astonishing, and within no time, he passed through the narrowing rings and arrived at the last one before the stone door. With a single swipe of his right hand, the door rumbled open, and Wang Lin stepped through, reappearing in the Rune clan on the 18th layer. Standing on the 18th layer, Wang Lin turned to look at the stone door. With a flick of his sleeve, it closed once again. After leaving several seals with his hands, Wang Lin was about to leave. I need to refine the Dao fruit and complete the 3 origins of life and death, cause and effect, and truth and falsehood. Wang Lin turned to leave, but suddenly paused, letting out a soft exclamation. His gaze fell upon the wall he had collided with after breaking the seal on the stone door earlier. The wall was filled with cracks, and large chunks of stone had fallen off. One of the cracks was especially deep, as though it had pierced through the wall, revealing a glimpse of what lay behind it. Wang Lin had been completely distracted by the activation of the stone gate earlier and hadn't noticed the subtle clues from the crack in the wall. Now, as he calmed down, his gaze immediately pinpointed the mysterious details. His eyes followed the crack in the wall, and through it, he faintly saw the outside. There seemed to be an expanse of pitch-black space, and the aura emanating from there, filtering through the crack, felt strangely familiar to Wang Lin. Outer Domain Battlefield, Wang Lin murmured.